Welcome to PodsCast number 5, Templates, Shortcodes, and Widgets Displaying Data in Pods Part 3, airing live on May 5th, 2015. Our podcasts are regularly scheduled on the first and third Tuesday of every month at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 6 p.m. UTC. Go ahead with the music, Mr. Scott.
So, as you know, from podcast to podcast, I'll find something that I can pod out. So, and this one goes out to all my struggle bus friends who struggle from day to day on various tasks and where Pods helps us. We're podsing, I wanna pods it with you. We're podsing, I hope you like podsing too. Ain't no rules, ain't no vow, we can do it anyhow, and I will see you through. 'Cause every day we pay the price with a little sacrifice, pod until the pods is through. Little taste.
Thanks, Scott. All right. Welcome to our 5th podcast from the team at Pods Framework. We have with us today our humble leader, Scott Kingsley Clark, lead developer for Pods and a senior web engineer at 10up. We also have Josh Pollock. Oop, wrong button. There we go. Josh Pollock, community manager and contributing developer at Pods and the owner of Caldera WP. And we also have myself, Jim True, support lead and project manager at Pods, who currently has some crazy thing going on with his eye, so is going to become the disembodied voice today. As always.
Please refer to yourself in the third person, because that's my thing. I'm a little offended.
Oh, I can't call myself the disembodied voice?
No, that's fine, but you called yourself Jim.
I did? Okay.
I think only I get to refer to myself in the third person. It's going to be too confusing otherwise.
Nah. As always, we will be taking live questions throughout our podcast. You can either tweet us directly at Pods Framework or join us on our Slack chat channel at http://pods.io/chat and ask your questions in the PodsCast channel. Today we continue our series on displaying Pods data in WordPress by introducing the Pods templates and magic tags. We'll also show the conditional tags and different methods of displaying your Pods data without PHP and show how templates are incorporated into posts and pages with shortcodes and widgets. We'll again be working with live coding and examples. Josh, take it away.
Good morning. Sorry I interrupted you before.
Nah, it's fine.
I'm just defensive of that. So I wanted to point out, if you're watching this and you need any more details, I have a couple of videos on our YouTube channel that cover templating and shortcodes that go sort of step by step through this process that I do recommend for people. We've been jumping around on here different ways that you can... Is everybody else seeing a button? Oh, now we're seeing. Okay, great. Different ways that you can see output your data, and I always like to start this by pointing out that when you ask the question, what's the right way, there is no answer. It's more about what's the right way for you, and templates are one way that we push because it makes it easy, it's straightforward, it avoids writing PHP that might be in your theme, and then you want to go switch themes, and then what do you do? But there are limits to what shortcodes can do as far as queries, and there's limits to what templates can do as far as conditionals and markup. So I think it's one of those things where you really need to understand your options and plan well, plan in advance, because you don't want to get too far into it and realize that you ask these questions like, oh, how can I do this with templates? And the answer is, well, you can't.
Right. Yeah, that's one of the things that's been coming across the support forums a lot lately, is that people start getting into these situations and have backed themselves so far into templates that they suddenly realize that, you know what, for what you're doing, it'd be a lot easier if you just did it in PHP.
Right, and that's why I wanted today to talk about what are the really cool things that you can do with templates and shortcodes, because they're awesome and are really powerful, but also let's keep in mind limitations. And if you're new to Pods, you're starting up a new project, start to keep these limitations in mind, get to know what they are, what the strengths and the weaknesses are, so you can make good decisions as whether or not this is how you should do it, or working directly in PHP like we've been talking about in the last few episodes of the PodsCast. which you can see all of on our YouTube channel
Yeah.
and on our site. So let's jump into this. We're looking at Jim's screen, and this is a demo site that he made before, and we've seen this in past.
And this particular page is actually built with a Pods template and a shortcode.
Okay. Do you want to show it? So this is a page. And when we say page, we mean a WordPress page. You click to add new page, right?
Yep.
Page is a specific post type.
Let me zoom that in just a little bit. Here you go.
And so the pod shortcode starts with the word pods. Has a, well, that's how it's identified. It has a very robust subset of what you can do with the pods find method, the find method of the pods class. There are limitations because you for good reasons can't write like SQL functions into the post editor in WordPress, and you can't do variables and conditionals and things like this. But for something very simple like Jim had done there, it's very good. So you can say limit. How many do I want per page? This does support pagination. When you say -1, you just get them all. You can say 5, and then it'll paginate.
Oh, so if I did a 2 here, and then the pagination would automatically cut in?
Well, you have to turn on pagination.
Yeah, it'd have to be. We'd add it in.
Can we sidetrack and do a debate on pagination versus pagination real quick?
Sure.
What do you think?
You say tomato, I say tomato.
Right, but when you say tomato, you're wrong. So which one of us is wrong? Because I say pagination, you say pagination.
Let's just call the whole thing off.
Okay, forget it. Everybody say hi to my cat. So here's the question: is what's your goal with this shortcode? Because I like to think about goals before I write any code or shortcuts.
I would totally agree. In this case, I decided to just build one to make sure I had all the content in the right place, and that's one of the main things I actually use the Pods templates and shortcodes for, and the magic tags, because you can honestly really quickly prototype your content by basically creating your pod, populating it, jumping straight over to a page, and creating a quick template within the custom template here with the magic tags, and just go to town. And it's wonderful for that.
When Jim says custom template there, in the shortcode that he's showing, it has an argument called template, and he gets to choose a template that pre-exists. But these can also have enclosure in them, so you can get rid of that argument, and then you can start typing out a shortcut, so end it like he's done, and then in between you can use the pods magic tags like it's a template in there. And we're going to get into probably the second half of this, into the actual templates themselves.
Boy, that was stupid.
That wasn't stupid. That was a common mistake.
I know. That's the sad thing about it. It's like I know better.
Let's go back to the arguments that you can use in a in a shortcode, and these are, as I said, the same arguments for the most part as you can do with pods find. So pagination or pagination, whichever one you prefer, just do true there. In quotes.
Right. Forgot.
Will enable you to have the pagination automatically done for you. And this would show 2, and then a quick pagination link to take you to 3 and 4, what he's doing now. And then he's doing an inline template right now. So these are fields that he's referencing, but he's using these magic tags, so the brackets, @, the name of the field, and then closing it off with brackets. And so what he's doing is making just a very quick link list with your post title as the
There you go.
So we'll get to see all of the posts in the video custom post type, correct?
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, and I actually realized I should have made these movies instead of videos.
Right.
So, which was silly of me. So, and yeah, the pagination works perfectly.
Right, so we're able to see back and forth between the first 2 and the second 2.
Yeah, and since this is a site that has all the sub stuff on it, so yeah, my other theme templates are still popping in for those.
So if we go back to the editor for this, let's get a little bit fancy here.
Okay.
If we wanted to, what kind of custom fields do we have here? Let's do a simple where query.
Wow. Sorry.
Yeah, well, your indecision's getting you arrested.
Yeah, that was it.
What kind of custom fields do you have on video?
I have a related actor.
Okay.
Yeah, we have a related actor who would be like is actually relating out to the actor's pod. So, let me see.
So, what's the name of that relationship field?
Related actor,
Okay.
and then it would be meta value.
Yep.
Yep, is equal to like Guinness.
Are you
That
sure
might.
that's not the post title? Like you actually have a
Yes, it should actually.
in the related pod. Is it a meta value field or is it a value such as post title that's in the post table?
That's the post title for the actor.
Right. So
But
that
that
it would
should
be
still.
dot post title.
Oh, that's right. Good point. Back
And
here.
if you're confused as to why, you can go back to PodsCast episode 1, where we talk about how to read that chart. That tells you how to.
All right. Let's see
I'm
if
so
this works.
tired.
No, that's fine. That's
I'm
actually
so
really
hungry.
good. I appreciate it.
I'm sorry. I apologize in advance to anybody I interact with socially today. Um,
This is
so,
one of the things we really like Josh for and actually he is in all these movies, so this is not a good one. Let me get it a better one. Let me get one that I know is only in like one or something. Let's grab. Now this is one of the things I actually love about Josh because he's always teaching. He's not in Bridge on the River Kwai.
oh, Pods does stuff.
We have probably an error, and it just says, you know what? I'm just going to give it to y'all anyway, no matter what. So
I have no idea. Scott, are you paying attention? Do you know what's going wrong here?
Yes, so I'm looking at it. It's because of that quoting issue.
Oh, yeah.
Duh, you're right.
Single quotes.
Oh my God, I
Wrap
can't believe I did that. I am
before
like
related actors,
bad. Yeah, this either needs to be a single quote here,
and then at the end you need a double quote.
yeah. So here,
Yeah,
and
but you just need to close it off with a quote.
yep, that's exactly what it is.
And this gets into the issue of as soon as you start doing stuff like this,
Mhm.
right? You need to tell SQL that this is a string.
Ah! Let's see, related actor, post title, and where clause. Related actor.
Let's look at your setup.
Okay, good idea. Anytime you get a Silk SQL error, now we're gonna distract ourselves real quickly.
No. This is good. Let's talk about troubleshooting pod shortcuts. Let's go to your pod setup for videos.
Which should actually be movies, I think.
Yeah,
So,
I would have called it movie.
yeah.
And the reason why it should be that is that that confuses it with the media library, which
Yeah.
could contain an actual video.
That's a good point. True.
So this has related actors.
Oh, you know what? I had related actor. That's
Correct.
correct.
There you go.
All right, let's go back.
This is this is the step that I do all the time because I see that SQL error on node column, right? See, it says related actor, and then I realize like, oh no, it was actors.
Of course, the error's not letting me get around it, so I'm gonna have to go to the page, unfortunately, and do it the hard way. Give me just 1 second. There we go. So talk about
And
other
honestly,
things,
this is
Josh.
why when I'm writing code for pods, I keep my pods editor open for whatever pod it is in the other window
Good idea.
to make sure I don't make these mistakes of writing related actor instead of related actors.
Mhm.
Am I saying actor right?
Tomato, tomato.
The tomato is wrong, Jim.
Tis not. Ah, it worked
See,
perfectly.
and now it
Ta-da!
And so the point of this whole exercise was that you can do some pretty cool stuff here as far as saying, okay, I want in this field of another post type, not the one that I'm currently dealing with.
Mhm.
I want to, and right, so that's a pretty complex relationship that involves a bridge table that I don't really understand how it works, but Pods does it magically for me. It's pretty cool that you can do that with just a shortcode. And Jim's going to show us the documentation for pod shortcodes, which is a very useful page. And there's a lot of fun
Wrong
tricks
one.
here.
I always do that. I always grab the filter reference instead of the actual shortcode. I don't know how I did that, but I did. Uh,
And it shows us some really good examples. Yeah, that's not where it is, Jim.
yeah, I think it's in build, isn't it?
I have no idea. I would just
Yeah. Isn't that bad that we don't know where our own shortcodes are?
no. I don't remember URLs. I
You don't? You don't have like URLs just stuck in your head for good?
no.
That's pretty sad, dude.
You so
Hang on. I know how to find it. Luckily, I do have a
it's
backup.
doc/learn/shortcode/pods.
Doc/learn shortcode/pods.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, that's really confusing.
Well, we're not talking about permalink structures today on today's podcast.
That is quite true. So we will
So,
fix that some other time.
okay,
yeah.
so we're there. So there's a very long list of arguments here, parameters, are we? That's another great discussion, is whether they're arguments or parameters. So this, as you can see, is all of the things that you can do in a pod shortcode. Now, some of these are limited by some various constants that we have to limit the usefulness of it for security reasons that you might want to look into, depending on, if you're the only person who has admin access to your site, then who cares? But if you're letting lots of people who may not all be trustworthy, or not just trustworthy in terms of person, but like technical background, you want to be a little wary of. There are some some constants which we have documented which limit the ability of running SQL that for security reasons you might want to consider enabling.
Yeah, we have that note down here at the bottom of the page about, because basically there was a handful of SQL functions that you can't put in the
Right.
where statement anymore, or at least in the visual editor.
Right. So there's a little bit of a difference there, and my point is that my point was that there is a shortcut. Stay there.
Oh,
There is a constant that will disable your ability to use where, having, group by, anywhere that you could potentially have a security issue. In general, you can never use a SQL function in a shortcode argument. You just can't. You can never say something like, if you're using pods find, you could say event dot, you had a relationship to an event, so event dot start date equals, and then you can use current date, CUR date. But you can't do that in a shortcode. That's a reason why you should either use the filter that runs on shortcode arguments, and that's documented on this page, or you should just not use a shortcode. You should use pods find instead. But there's a lot of really neat stuff here. For example, the fact that you can choose a template. You can use a template inline. The fact that you can make a form. There is an argument called form, and then you do form equals 1, or true, same thing, and then it will output a form. And then by default, that's going to show you all fields of your pod, and that's might not be what you want, so you can use fields and do a comma-separated list of the fields. And then when you do that, if you look on that list there, the next two are going to give you the ability to customize your form. And that's label. That's what's going to be the button. By default, it's save, but you could say enter data or whatever. And then thank you is going to be the message that runs when it's done. I'm sorry. I was entirely wrong there. Thank you is the URL that it goes to when it's done. It's a redirect. So there's a lot of really neat stuff here. Like, for instance, pods find supports caching. So that way, if you say cache mode equals cache for object caching, which is what you really want, or transient or site transient, it'll cache, and then you need to set expires when you're doing caching, because expires default value is 0, and therefore it expires immediately, so you can give it a number of seconds. So 3,600 seconds, for instance. And therefore, it will cache the whole way through. So it's pretty neat. You can do a lot of very powerful stuff with pod shortcode. Most of what you can do with the pods find method. What can't you do? Well, one of the things about you writing PHP, because it's a programming language, is conditionals, right? A lot of times we write pods find arguments where we are saying, well, if this, else that, and then we make a variable and then we stick that in as our where. You can't really do that inside of the post editor in Pods in WordPress. So, but if you know exactly what it is, the other reason why you might want to avoid shortcodes is they don't really scale. You have to enter each one manually.
Mm-hmm.
If you have one page, okay, cool. You have 2 pages, cool. You have like 15 pages with different. You've got an infinite number of pages defined by how much data is on the site.
Or
And
God forbid, one of those horrible like page builder things with like 6 different areas of content and a different little pod shortcode in each one of them. And it's great the first time you build it, but then when you have to go back and troubleshoot it, oh dear God, what did I just do?
yeah, I mean, it really depends. I mean, if people want to look at the Friends of Pod site, you know, I think that looks beautiful. It was built with Divi. It's one of those page builders that everybody likes to complain about, but I think it worked out really well.
Mm-hmm.
But we only have like 3 pages, 4 pages.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe it's like 6
It's
or
not
7.
terribly maintainable, is what it comes
It's not
down to.
maintainable, but it's not a huge site.
Yeah.
And I think that there are reasons to be upset about page builders and those sorts of things, but you have to keep them in perspective. If you're only doing 1 or 2 things, you only have 1 or 2 pages, okay, fine. And I think that shortcodes for quick prototyping are wonderful. For simple sites where, okay, we have a brochureware site, but for a company that's very good for this sort of thing, but we need to have some sort of listing, locations, products. And so we've used Pods to create a custom post type. And we just need 1 or 2 different ways of viewing that. Shortcodes are great for that. Create a page called products and then make a list of products.
Okay, Josh, we probably need to move on to how to basically incorporate or start talking about actually the Pods template component.
Yeah, let's talk about Pods templates, because we've been kind of referring to them in the sense of one of your arguments is template. There are many ways to use templates. The shortcode is one of them. Jim showing you that this is an optional component that you need to turn on from the components menu. Thank you, Jim.
No problem.
But you can do it from a shortcode. You can call it using the template method of the Pods class. You can also use Pods Frontier Auto Template.
Yeah, we actually need to turn that one on because right now I don't have it on. So,
in that, what the idea behind Pods Frontier Auto Template is that if you create a template for your custom post types, single view or post or archive, you can have it automatically output it. It just does.
Let me show them that real quick so that they can see that. Because
what
what I'll do is I just turned it on, and actually you'll notice it gives me the really smart thing that I forgot to turn on Actors as an archive template.
Right.
So I need to actually
what he's
fix
referring to is that in WordPress, you do not by default have a archive view for a post type. That is something that you can do by clicking that little box there. Enable archive page. And now you will see, just like blog posts have that index, or taxonomy archives have that index, now this post type will have its index. And then,
okay, that's fine.
Because Jim has activated the Frontier Auto Template plugin, he is able to turn it on per pod, and then he's able to say the name of what template he would like to show for single items, which one for archive views, and then does it go before, after, or in place of. Click Save. And then let's look at what
So if you actually had it would go in place of the template for the index.php template?
No. What it does, to be precise, is wherever in your theme you would see the content of the post is rendered,
right?
The Pods template goes before, after, or in place of the post content.
Oh, okay.
That's what it does. So your theme somewhere in it says the content, or get the content, or post the content. Actually, not in that case. Wherever to be technical, wherever the content filter runs, so that's the content in your theme, it replaces it or precedes it.
Oh, hang on, looks like do a. Nice. That's pretty cool.
So it just happens automatically. Let's go look and see what this template is that you're outputting.
Yeah, I'm actually kind of surprised. I didn't realize it was going to do that with the little side wrap. But
Well,
actually, it's not exactly perfect. It's kind of weird. But okay, let's go look at our template. That would be the Pods admin templates, movie archive.
Hey, Jim, are you running Genesis without a Genesis child theme?
Yes, I am. Shut up.
That was... Why did you take that as an insult?
Because you're not supposed to.
It works.
I
I'm
know it
actually
does.
impressed that it used to not look right, and now it actually looks pretty decent.
Yeah, it's basically this. Their child theme is pretty much all it is. It's just, yeah, you're not supposed to do it. So, but yeah, it works pretty good. So here's what we got. We have. How hard is that to read? I can
Zoom in a
probably.
little.
Let me hide publish box and stuff over here, maybe.
So what Jim is
Actually,
showing
no,
us...
I'll leave that on because that's actually helpful. They need to see the. Let me just
Correct.
zoom
So
in a
what
little.
Jim is showing us is the template editor, and we've looked at this before in past PodStats.
We're going to go into it in detail today.
But what's important to note about what we're seeing here is that this does have Pods Frontier active. So this if tag here.
Actually, it doesn't.
Yeah.
Believe it or not,
So,
Frontier's not running on this. This is actually.
I know, but can we ignore that for now?
Sure.
Is it's giving us these advanced, this bit of advanced logic, like if, before each of these tags, which we'll get into in a second. What I wanted to start with was just to talk about the basics of a magic tag, how it works.
Sure.
And you'll notice that on the right side column, there is a pod reference. And this shows you all of the fields that are available in this pod. And you select which of your pods. It's important to note that that is a reference that doesn't tie this template to a specific pod. It's literally just for reference, because in some cases, you've structured your data properly, so in a way that one template can work with multiple pods. And
Well, you can see here on the bottom of the table where it actually is traversing both relationships back to.
Right.
Yeah.
But what I was trying to say was that you can, in some cases, one pod's template can be used for multiple pods. In some cases, it can't. So it's important to realize that that reference there is for your benefit. It doesn't actually have any effect on the template itself.
Got it.
The other thing that it does, which is really cool, is it enables the autocomplete to work with those particular fields. So when you start typing a magic tag, it will give you autocomplete. If your list is too long, and you have too little memory allocated, the autocomplete will not work.
Right.
But we're hoping to improve that soon. There's an interesting issue there that we need to address, but it does give you some cool stuff. Can we delete and start over here, actually?
Sure. I'll get rid of the primary content.
Yep. So, let's start with let's start with just doing how to show the post title. Now, remember that this is, Jim, you said it, so this is replacing the post content.
Yeah.
So the one thing it's not going to replace is the post title. So it's going to keep that in mind.
Oh,
so you
okay.
probably already have the title there.
I probably do. I didn't even think about that.
So we might not want to do this, but let's do it anyway because it's an academic exercise.
Why not?
So you use your general markup there. And so let's start a link. So look, we get that autocomplete. The permalink will give us the permalink. Now, an interesting thing to notice here is that works, but it does not give us proper escaping of our data. We always want to output late escape a URL using the escape URL function. And as Jim has done there, he's used this comma to call a function on the output of the magic tag. This is very cool. It is limited in the sense of it passes the magic tag value to the first argument of the function that's used after the comma. If you need more than one argument, well, too bad. That's a limitation of Pod's templates. But for these sorts of things, like for title, he should have used escape attribute. So go back there and do comma escape attribute. Beautiful. And we've created any function that is callable can be used there, but we've created a couple of helper functions. Like, for example, you might be used to in WordPress, there is a Pods audio shortcode that you can use to create an MP3 player from just a link. But the function that uses is called video shortcode, but that takes an array of arguments, which you can't do with a magic tag. So we created a function called Pods audio, which you can take a magic tag, comma Pods audio, and if that magic tag has a link to an audio file, it'll output an MP3 player or an audio player. Same thing. There's Pods underscore video, so you can do a field that would show a video, comma Pods underscore video, and you would get a video. And that I think is really cool that you can do that sort of thing. So this is very simple. Also, when you have your relationship fields, let's talk about post thumbnails are available.
Oh, yeah.
You'll notice that these post title, post content, post excerpt, post thumbnail,
Author, date, status, all of those.
these sorts of things, they are actually not Pods fields. These are regular post fields, but they're available to you here. And you'll notice that there are various types of ways that you can address the post thumbnail that are very useful. Because do you want its URL? So that way you can wrap it up in an image tag. Well, do you want the URL for the thumbnail size? Do you want it for the medium size, the large size, any custom image size or default image size that is currently registered? You can do that. So let's do the medium size there, URL medium.
Oh, sorry, URL medium. There we go.
And so this is going to give us the URL of that, comma, escape URL.
Oh.
Late escape your things, all the things. And now you have an image tag. Let's talk about our relationship field. What kind of relationship fields do we have?
We have related authors. Or sorry, related actors. It's actually.
Well, we could look at our Pods reference and it would tell us.
We can indeed. It's right there. Related actors.
I often, if I'm not using a Pods template, I will still have a Pods template editor open because this reference is too useful.
Yeah, it's very true.
We can see right there, related author dot post title. And so what Jim's doing here is he's using an if tag. And that's saying if there is any value in the related author field, then show me what's inside of this. Because that's really great, because you could say like H3, related author, and then UL, LI, nothing. Nada. And that makes for bad presentation, makes for weird markup. So we use this this tag. This before tag runs is not being used properly, if I remember.
Yeah, it is not from what I'm doing right now.
Right. What you're doing, the before. Let's get back to before and after tags are really useful, but this is not how they get used. This is a misconception.
Okay.
What before and after tags do is that they run when you're looping through templates. They run the before tag runs at before the first template, or on the first time the template is iterated through. And the after tag runs the last time it is iterated through.
Oh, so you do it up here like you would do it at the top of this template for each little piece. So it would actually, you do like
if you wanted it to run on the first time. If you want, let's say that this template was going to be used 5 times in a row, right? Because it was showing 5 items. If you say before here, you could put a title tag.
I gotcha.
H3 movies, right there, okay? And that will only show up once. Or you could say open a container. You could say div ID equals movies. And then you could use an after tag to close that div. Because it's only
also do, since this is probably a list of articles, I'm not sure if they'd actually be showing as a list or not. They probably just, I'll keep them in the article mode. But yeah, it would probably also be like include all of this little.
Yeah, I mean, in the way that you're using it, because it's you're using Frontier Auto template. The before and after of 0 used to you. I'm making more of an academic point.
Good point.
Because my point is that with auto template, it shows it once. and it gets to the next post and it shows it again. If we were using it in the context of the shortcode like we were using before, we should show me 5 items.
Right.
Then it jumps through the same template 5 times. And therefore, the before tag gets used once, and then it does the 5 times, and then the after tag gets used.
Ah, smart. Okay.
That is how it works. This is what Jim wanted to do. What Jim was sort of using down here is that there is a once tag.
Okay.
And now the once tag is only going to work if you use an each.
Ah, okay. So basically,
it's not useful in the slightest for the UL tag. It's not what it's there for, because you can do UL.
Yeah, because we know we're in one right now at this point.
Anything special here. It's
yeah, we already know we're in one. Yeah.
Then open your each tag. And then like a very useful, so the each causes a loop. It's going to loop through each related actor. Now let's say that you were using each and you wanted your first item to have special markup.
Like a special color or something.
Or, for instance, you just wanted to add a class to it. You wanted to say class first.
Okay.
So do li and then start an li, but before you close it, before you close the tag.
Oh, before I close the tag, got
inside of that tag, do once, and then class equals first. And then close the once.
I follow.
That's where you would use the once tag. You see, this is tricky between before, after, and once.
Oh, it does make sense, because I completely forgot about the once.
Once iteration, one of the template, of all of the templates, the once tag runs when you're inside of an each. And so it's useful for like, oh, I want to have special markup on my first one. Here's a great place where you want special markup on your first one. If you're making an image slider, right? Sure. You want to make the markup for, say, a bootstrap carousel. Well, you need to have the class active on the first one, so that way it can switch out that tag. That's what the JavaScript there does. So you would say on the first one you would say class active, and therefore only that first time through is a.
Probably need to point out to them that when they're in the each tag, you don't actually need to traverse into related actors dot.
Right. So why don't we show the difference there, which is that if you have if you're outside of this, right? See, that is wrong.
That's wrong.
But if you were inside of, can we explain why that's wrong?
Sure.
Real quick. Which is that if you were outside of this each loop,
like up here actually, somewhere,
then you would need to traverse. And that's what we say with the dot.
Right, but if I actually traversed up here and I had like 6 of them,
right?
I'd be getting actually like an array list, wouldn't I? Let's actually show that. We probably should show that.
This is why you want to use an each loop. If you have a related field that has only one item, right? It's a single select relationship. Then you don't need an each loop because you don't need a loop. You only need one. But how do we get to the post title of the related one? Then, well, we need to say related actors dot post title, because post title on its own refers to the post title of the current post, not the related post. But if we have a multi-select, then we can't do that. We need to use our each loop, which is what's going on tag. So that way we can do each one individually. When we say each related actors, that is the beginning of our traversal.
And I actually just did post title, it should be permalink.
Right.
And
yeah, no space. And so inside of this each loop, permalink is referring to related actors. Outside of it, it's referring to the current movie. That's why we don't. If we were to do related actors dot post title inside of this each link, it would be essentially related actors dot post title, which probably doesn't work.
Yeah, it get lost. What I noticed when I did it as a test yesterday, when you do the full traversal, you don't get anything. It just errors
Well,
out because you're already inside. It's already traversed.
if
This has
if
forced it to go into a traversal. So
right, but effectively, what it does is attempt to do that traversal on the related post type.
oh,
So
okay.
if actors
Mm-hmm.
had a field called related actors that was a relationship to another post type,
I
that would
totally
be
get you.
bad database architecture,
Yeah.
but it would technically work, though it still wouldn't give you what you wanted.
Let's go ahead and save this and see if we've got it working. I think we've done everything we kind of need to do there.
Yeah, though you started, I just wanted to point out that the
Mhm.
if, because you started it on 8, you start the if.
Yep, I need to
On
finish.
16, he opens an else statement. This is totally optional. He could have just ended it with an if there, but because he has the else there, he can say no actors, and that only runs if there's no related actors. You see this in like a standard WordPress loop. If have posts, while posts, and then at the end you say else, no post found. Same logic structure.
Yeah, and like most of ours, I don't actually have any post content, so I wouldn't actually include the post content in any of these. So okay, so if I go back to demo site. And
Oh, and the point that Ken's making in the PodsCast channel is going to be an issue.
oh, what's that?
He points out that you wrote actor, not authors.
I fixed it. I already fixed it.
Oh, you did?
Of course I
Okay,
did.
well, I'm still awarding 2 points to Ken.
You should. So there we go. Yeah, so apparently because I'm doing Medium, we're doing some fun little wrapping here that must be part of the theme.
Yeah.
And you're right, the title is already in there. And
right, because this is the point that we were discussing with auto template.
Mhm.
It does not replace the entire output. It's where if you look in your theme.
Wow. Oh, so look at this. This is what happens when you. That's one of those where I passed it basically the full traversal actor.
Mm-hmm.
It knew it was a list, and so since it was displaying the list as an array, it created the concatenated array, the Alec Guinness, Mark Hamill, comma, and Carrie Fisher. So that's kind of useful if you don't need links, but like none of my links have came in. Wow. Like it's totally ignored. I'm wondering if our escape URL escape attribute is not working.
Well, why don't you simplify it, because you have 2 different ways of doing the same thing, and that makes it really hard to tell.
Okay. What's okay? Such as?
We'll go back to your template.
Yep.
And awarding Ken is 2 points.
And
oh no, I did it right.
all right. So movie archive. All right. So that.
You see, because you had that there.
Yeah, but that's fine. That's just I wanted to see if that actually worked. Is what I was curious about.
Yeah, it does not work incredibly well with multi-select fields.
Yeah, but we're not even getting our unordered list or anything here, so we've got something else going funky here. Like these didn't actually give links. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Because li once class. I'm gonna drop this. And see what happens. That didn't work either. Yeah, we're not getting any of our ULs. That's weird. So, well, obviously this is coming in from the theme, so we can probably drop the header.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally drop the header. Yeah.
The point I was trying to make is that the pods auto, when you need to think about, is your template creating your entire markup because you used a shortcode like we were doing in the beginning?
Right.
In which case you do want to make your whole HTML5 markup, article, header, title, or
Right.
is it a part of your markup because you're using auto template? The beauty of auto template is that you let your theme do a lot of your dirty work for you. Let it create your title, let it create your thumbnail, and
Right.
you swap out either your content and replace that with this special thing that you've done with it, or
Right.
do you say everything about my theme is lovely? The problem is that it doesn't know about my custom fields that I've added with pods. So I just want to add a list of extra fields at the end of it. So you don't need the template. You don't need the thumbnail. You don't need the title. You don't need the content. You just need a couple of fields at the end there, right? So you have a site that shows all of your locations, right? You added a
Right.
custom post type for your store, right? There's a website for your store, and you added a custom post type called locations, and that supports post title, post content, post thumbnail,
My
right?
guess
So you
is
just use
something on
those.
the single PHP is probably throwing it way off because this is the short code
Yeah,
just by itself, or just our template by itself. So this is actually working right.
yeah,
But
that's
whatever we're
fine.
doing on the main theme is not. So,
I feel
like you
like
said, we need to kind of cut it down to just what actually works.
yeah.
So,
So, but my point that I was trying to make is that it really you need to plan out how you're going to use these, because if you're doing something like a store website and you're
mhm,
adding locations, use the default stuff that's built into WordPress. That way your theme will output it nice.
right.
And then what doesn't your theme do becomes the question. The themes, let's say you added a custom field called address,
Yeah, because this
phone
is all
number,
coming
hours,
directly from the theme
all that.
itself, right here. Like it's doing the breadcrumb, it's doing the title, it's doing the author, and the categories. This one has no shortcode in place, in other words. Or sorry, no template in place. Did I lose you, Josh?
No, I just don't know what we're talking about.
Oh no, I was illustrating what you were just talking about. That if you let your theme do as much as it can, and then you just build on it.
Right, and this was my point, was that I like to think about these in terms of what doesn't my theme do. Let me define my problem that I'm trying to solve around what doesn't my theme do. And so if it's that it doesn't list these 3 extra custom fields that I need to see, well then I'll just make a pods template that lists those 3 fields, and then I'll go into my Pods Frontier auto template settings and have it show at the instead of replace. Replace honestly is not that useful of an option. I think after is the most useful option. Before is the most useful option. Because
Okay.
when you get into replace, you don't replace the entire markup of the theme. If you wanted to do that, you should
We'll
be.
flip that on this one and show that.
Yeah. So what I was trying to say is that if you want to totally replace everything that your theme is doing, then auto template is not a great option. If you want to add additional content to your theme, it's a good option. If you want to make some changes, you want to have list of documentation, right? You're showing products and everything is there. It's beautiful except for you want to show all of the related posts in a documentation thing. Beautiful. Just add a little bit of extra data there. That's where I think it's really useful. I think that one of the mistakes is to try and have you get into where you have systems that do 2 things that are overlapping a lot of times, and that gets when it gets weird. Just to get into these sort of the limitations of the system and how to get around it.
I'm just going to switch it to after instead of replace.
Right. And so this is what I was talking about, is that a Pods Frontier auto template, which again is not always the best option, he was on replace mode. So this replaces the post content, not the post title, not the post thumbnail, not the post author, just the post content. But when we go to after, what it does is it leaves the post content in place, says, okay, let's just use that the way the theme intended it, and then let's have our template go afterwards. So let's look at what that looks like. Beautiful. Well, he's got an invalid shortcode there. Really.
Actually, no, this is on the template. I didn't actually select the template that it came from, so some things, yeah. Okay, hang on a second. I think you do actually have to select the...
No, I will tell you for a fact that it has nothing to do with it. I know what that error is, and I told you what it was. The error that you're seeing is that you have a shortcode that doesn't specify either in that post.
That post has no shortcodes.
The name or the thing.
Nope, that's a replace. It's not using the shortcode. It's using pod template only. There's no shortcode involved there.
You never closed your each tag there.
Ah, that would do it.
But I'm trying to point out that this pods reference does not have any bearing on how the shortcode works, or on how the template
Yeah,
works.
that's exactly what it is, the each. So
Yeah.
it couldn't tell what I was doing. It said, "What are you doing, you crazy fool?" Ta-da!
There you go.
Great job. Thanks, man.
And so this is just appending this little list afterwards. And as I said, that's very useful when you're using pods to add a couple custom fields. You have a theme that works real nicely. You just need a couple custom post types, but you have some fields that your theme doesn't know about.
Right.
And that's and I think we're almost out of time here, but I think that that's the best way to think through how are you going to use your templates and stuff.
Mhm.
How are you going to create your markup? Is to start with what is my problem. And when I say your problem, I don't mean like, oh, there's something wrong. I mean, what is the deficiency of out of the box, right? You installed WordPress, you installed a theme, and then what are those deficiencies that are the reasons why you turn to pods, right? WordPress is great, but you need a couple plugins always to make it do exactly what you need. So you needed the ability to add a custom post type and some custom fields. You solved that problem with pods. But now pods didn't automatically output those fields. How are you going to do it? You've got a lot of possibilities. One of those possibilities is to use a pods template and then add a shortcode to a page to list them all, or use auto template just to add those little fields at the end. It depends on what you're trying to do. Jim wants to get into widgets, I think, before we.
Yeah, we got 9 minutes. We should be
We
able
got
to.
9 minutes. Well, widgets have limited usefulness. I'm being honest here. I think that widgets can do some neat stuff, but they are very limited.
Why are they ever?
Remember, if you can't, instead of wrestling with Pod's widgets, that there is one filter that you need to add that will allow you to use a shortcode in the text widget. So
yeah, that's
if
true.
you can do something with a shortcode
much smarter.
that you can't do with the Pods widget,
Yeah.
allow shortcodes in a widget.
You're breaking up a little bit, Josh.
A Pods widget, use the text widget, and use a Pod shortcode. Basically, the Pods widget is wrapped around Pod shortcode anyway. It does have some cool different types of widgets there. There's one to list items from a pod. There's one to show a custom field. There's one to create a form. There's a bunch of cool widgets here. What do we got? Pods list items. So show multiple items from the same pod. Show me the list again. I want to go down them.
I think I've got them as like, oh, the list of widgets?
Yeah, can you show me the list of widgets real quick?
Sure.
Jim?
Yeah, we got pods list items.
Yeah.
Single item view and
pods
form.
list item? Right. And so there's 5 of them there. Pods field value. That's let me just see one particular value. And so those are really great on individual posts. I like to combine those with a conditional shortcode plugin. Like Woo Themes is a really good one, so that way they only show up on single posts of that custom post type. And it's automatically going to show you, right, let's say you go back to the store example, where you can say, just have a widget that shows you the phone number for that store. Very useful. There's also form. So if you're doing, say, a website that allows you to enter details about books, you can create a form for books post type there. Add a new book. Very useful. Again, don't wrestle too hard with them. They have limitations, and if they're limited, then if you can't do it, try shortcode. Try something else.
Yeah, I didn't actually realize that because my screen was so thin, it was actually doing the mobile view. So there's actually the first widget that shows the list of all movies, and here's that form we just created. So it's nice.
And you'll notice that can you show us the template editor for Pods list items?
Yeah. Hang on, just
or not the widget editor. Don't leave. Just open up the widget. Open up the widget for list items.
Oh yeah, there it is. Sorry.
And you see, this is exactly like what we were doing with the templates and what we were doing with the shortcode. It's just in a slightly different interface.
Yeah, it's got
He
custom
said, I
fields.
want to show for pods. He said, I want to limit it to 15. He gave a before content, before after content, and then he gave this little custom template there. He could have also chosen one of his saved templates.
True.
But he just wrote his markup in there, and it worked perfectly.
Yeah.
And then let's look at the form. I
Mhm.
just want to make sure we hit these details before we wrap up.
No, thank you. I appreciate that. And we've got a good
And
pledge break too. So
yeah, we're going to end on a pledge break. We have 5 minutes.
yeah.
What he's done here to create this is, what if you want to add a new movie? So he gave it a little title. He selected which pod. If he had entered an ID or a slug here, then it would have become an editor for a specific one, for a specific video. By leaving it blank, it creates a new one. And then, again, it'll automatically add all of the fields if you leave fields empty. So instead, he's made a comma-separated list of fields.
Ta-da.
Yeah. So when he puts in the slug for Return of the Jedi, it will allow him to add actors to Return of the Jedi, which is something that George Lucas loves to do. So he should love this feature, right? We can put in all of the people who are in this new Episode 7. We can just retroactively add them to Return of the King. Or Return of the King, Return of the Jedi. You know it's coming. We couldn't get through an episode without me making a derogatory comment about George Lucas ruining our favorite movies, could we?
I love that you can actually use your entire widget over there, just like it's the real thing. It's pretty cool. All right.
100% free.
Yeah.
PodsCasts are 100% free. Pod support. You can go into our Slack channel at any time, and one of us or one of our helpful community members will help you out with your site. Any questions you have. Honestly, I'm really proud of our support. Jim does a great job with it. Something that I used to spend a lot of time on before we had Jim. And you don't get this kind of support with most plugins. We go above and beyond, and it's because of the generosity of our sponsors and regular users like you. Go to pods.io/friendsofpods and support us. And it means a lot to us when you do so, and you get some cool prizes. That takes us to the end. Thank you for joining us. Jim, do you have any parting words?
Yeah, I've got the whole wrap up that I normally do, so
Okay,
I can
let's
take
do
it from here. So our next episode is in 2 weeks on Tuesday, May 19th, 2015 at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 6 p.m. UTC. I was going to say we're discussing the finer points of the Pods REST API, but I think we're actually going to be talking about, we're going to take to last part 4 of the incorporating your data into themes, and we're actually going to talk about the Genesis framework, WooCommerce, action hooks and filters, that sort of thing.
That sounds like fun.
Yeah,
I want to
someone
listen to that.
brought that up. Yeah, someone brought that up on the PodsCast channel. I said that's actually a perfect one to do next because that's a common thing we get all the time, incorporating our pods data into a specific theme and how you work around that kind of stuff. Okay, where you can find our archives of our show are at our website at pods.io/category/podscast, or also on our YouTube channel at youtube.com/user/podsframework. If you're just getting started with pods and you want to learn more, you can visit our website at pods.io. You can get help and our support forums at pods.io/forums. We do respond as regularly as we can there. Also, we answer on the WordPress.org website under support/polygon/pods. And you can join us on our Slack chat at pods.io/chat in the pound support channel. Thank you again for joining us for another PodsCast, and we look forward to your questions and comments for the next one in 2 weeks. Have a great day.